'Tis wonderful to see the return of Season 6 so soon, with such an entertaining and yet rather clever episode to boot. While many of us had expected Daring Do to make a return someday, which I have to admit, I found it rather odd when I first saw the writers turn her into an actual character in the MLP universe. The way she was integrated into this story was far more intriguing and even thought-provoking, because the focus isn't really on Daring Do, but rather a couple of dedicated fans. Rainbow Dash gets to experience her first Daring Do convention, and meets up with a character named Quibble Pants, who is voiced by Patton Oswalt, who you might recognize as the voice of Remy from Ratatouille. And from the moment Quibble comes on screen, I was already getting a pretty strong vibe that this setup, conflict, and resolution actually contains a lot of subtext about the Brony community itself. First off, anyone who's ever been to a convention will certainly enjoy all the little Easter eggs and fan creations in the background here. From the intricate cosplays that vary wildly in quality, to the fan-made merchandise you really can't find anywhere else, and even the deep discussions about the tiniest details that only the most dedicated of fans will even understand. It's a fun take on conventions, which becomes all the more entertaining if you've ever been to one yourself. Secondly, we're introduced to the idea that not every fan of Daring Do likes everything that Daring Do has been a part of. And this is where the subtext really started intriguing me. If you listen to these conversations between Rainbow Dash and Quibble Pants and actually think about it in the context of MLP fans, it takes on a lot more of a personal meaning, especially for anyone who's voiced their opinion on what works and what doesn't in the show. Now, initially, we're led to believe that Quibble is just being overly critical when he refuses to even acknowledge certain Daring Do adventures. Even Daring Do herself starts rolling her eyes when she hears about dissatisfied fan ponies. And it would have been really easy for the writers to just poke fun at anyone who's ever criticized the show, much like those endless flame wars you see online. But I really respect their interest in both sides of the issue here. At first glance, Quibble just focuses on how much less realistic the later adventures turned out. But we discover it actually has more to do with his personal tastes in puzzle solving. And Quibble's the one who comes up with the ending lesson about how it's okay for fans to not agree on what makes their interests so enjoyable. And I really appreciate how the writers portrayed both the frustrations as well as the resolutions in a positive light. Neither side has the moral high ground. And when you compare the conflict to those who, say, enjoy the earlier seasons of MLP far more than the later seasons, and even those who really couldn't get into the show when they first came across it, but found a lot more entertainment with all the new directions which were introduced later on, Stranger Than Fanfiction takes on a whole new meaning. Even the end credits have Quibble Pants talking extensively about his fanfictions and how he wishes he could be writing future stories for the series. I think more than any other episode, this is the most direct conversation the MLP staff want to have with their fans. Now, I could be overthinking all of this, as this very episode actually does address that very element of fan dedication. But the more I watch the story and the character conflicts, the more it just makes sense. Now, admittedly, I did have a few nitpicks watching the episode. Every time I see Daring Do on a bridge which is falling apart, I can't help but think, you can fly. Why are you even standing on something you know is unstable? And even the setup of Caballero kidnapping Rainbow and Quibble in the first place seemed a little too convenient for the sake of the plot. This is, however, offset by Quibble's entertaining complaints about every little detail along the way. And they even managed to throw in a fantastic Indiana Jones reference.
Are you crazy? Don't go between them! Go between them, are you crazy?
So, all in all, I really liked Stranger Than Fanfiction. Rainbow gets to have her adorable fangirl moments, Quibble was a very entertaining new character, and while the inclusion of Daring Do and Caballero was a little too convenient at times, it really doesn't detract from a very clever subtext about fans not agreeing on what makes their interests so enjoyable. A truly memorable episode which I'm sure I'll be coming back to. In the meantime though, I would love to hear your thoughts. Were you getting a feeling of deja vu when watching Rainbow and Quibble have their in-depth discussions? Do you think the writers were subtly hinting about our community with the ending lesson? What were some of your favorite standout moments? I would like to hear your thoughts on Stranger Than Fanfiction. And here's looking forward to even more episodes that make us step back and look at ourselves in a new light. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Fly up! I said fly up! Ah!